Hey guys, this is Mr. H. Hey, I wanted to do a video on factoring polynomials. Um, and this is just to give you the best opportunity to score the best you can on the Regents. They usually have one or two questions of factoring, so I wanted to make sure you guys have at least seen it. So factoring basically is when you multiply two integers normally to get another number. So for instance, in this example, if I ask what's the factors of six, you should say 1 times 6 gives us 6, and 2 times 3 also gives us 6. Of course, there's the minus as well. You can do a -1 times a -6, or you can go -2 times a -3 equals 6, right? Now, what you don't do is you don't say 1/2 times 12 equals 6, even though that's true. This is not considered a factor. It's usually integers. And that's important because the same thing is true when we are doing polynomial factoring. We generally don't use fractions or decimals. All right. So I'm going to show you. So let's just go on. All right. Factors. So factors are just two numbers that you multiply together, two integers that you multiply together to get another number. All right. Now, it's a similar idea for polynomials. You can multiply two um, linear terms to get another polynomial. And let me show you exactly what I mean. So if you look at this, you see that we have a quadratic. I've graphed it below, and it has two zeros. X equals a -6 and x equals 1. So basically, once we know the zeros, we also know the factors. And this is how you would do it. So if x equals -6 is a 0, that means that we can set this equation equal to 0 by adding 6 to both sides, right? So we're going to have x plus 6 equals 0, right? Done. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other 0. We're going to say x equals 1, and then we're going to subtract 1 from both sides, and we're going to have x minus 1 equals 0. Now, once we've set those two equations equal to 0, those are the factors. So if we were to factorize this, we could say x plus 6 times x minus 1. That would be the factored form for this quadratic. Okay, so once you find the zeros, you also know the factors. So let me kind of jump in this. Now on my screen, I have a quarter, 2 quarters, one with the heads up, one with the tails up. And basically the whole idea is if you know what the zeros are, you know the other side is going to be factors and vice versa. If you know what the factors are, you should be able to tell me what the zeros are, right? So if I tell you that the coin is heads up, then you know the other side has to be tails, vice versa. So if I know the zeros, then I know the factors. If I know the factors, I know the zero. Now, the reason that's important is once we see the expression that they want us to factor, we're going to make it into a function, and then we're going to find the zeros, and those are going to be our factors. All right, so let's go. So I'm going to do an example now. Let's see here. All right, so on the screen, we have factor 36 minus 4x squared completely. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to set this, we're going to make this into a function, and we're going to set this equal in standard form. So I'm going to make this -4x squared plus 36. Now, once I have that, I'm going to graph it, and I'm going to find the zeros. Once I find the zeros, then I'll know what my factors are. So now I need the calculator. So let me go get it. So here is my calculator. I'm just going to go to the graph, and I am going to type in a -4x squared plus 36 equals boom. All right, so now what I'm going to do is find the zero. So I'm going to go menu 61. And then I'm going to do menu 61 again to find the other zero. Boom. So my two zeros are x equals a -3 and x equals 3. All right, so if I go to my iPad, I'm just going to set those equal to 0. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And this one, I'm going to subtract 3 from both sides. So those are my two factors. So here's how I would write the factors. Now, this is the factorization almost of this. But notice I started with a -4 and I had 36 over here. If you multiply these out, you won't get that. So one of the things you always have to do once you've gotten your function is you have to find the greatest common factor between the terms. So right now I have 4 and 36. I need to find the GCF. And I'm going to use the calculator again. So I'm going to go to this part and there is menu. You go to numbers and it's option 5, greatest common divisor. We're looking for the greatest common factor. So we're going to put 4, then you put a comma between them and then 36, and then you press enter. So that tells you that the greatest common factor is 4. What that means is, if I go back here, is that I have to put that out front. And that would be the factorization. The only thing about this one that you got to be careful of is we got a -4. So if you actually graph this, it would have the same zeros, but it would not be a frown. This is going to be a smile. So this has to be a frown. And the only thing I need to do is just put a negative in front of it. Now, this is the factorized form for it. Okay. Now I'm going to do one more example. This video is a little longer than I wanted. Actually, I'm going to stop it here and then I'm just going to start another video. Okay. So let me stop this.